I saw this tiny animal hovering around and feeding on the flowers in Provence, in the south of France. It moves incredibly fast, darting rapidly from bloom to bloom. I cannot figure out if it is an insect or a tiny bird. Does anyone know what it is? It's a hummingbird hawk moth. This fascinating insect is a prime example of convergent evolution, where entirely unrelated species develop identical physical traits to solve the same problem. Much like an actual hummingbird, this moth beats its wings up to 85 times per second. This rapid movement allows it to hover stationary in midair while it unrolls its long, tube-like proboscis to drink nectar from deep within a flower. This high-speed, hovering flight requires a massive amount of metabolic energy, which is why these moths must constantly seek out nectar-rich blooms during the warm summer months across Europe and Asia. What is this tiny, unusual light bulb? I have never seen one quite like it before, and need help identifying it for a replacement. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a G4 bipin bulb. Originally developed for compact halogen lighting, the letter G indicates a glass-type base, and the number 4 signifies that the two connection pins are exactly 4 millimeters apart. These low-voltage bulbs typically operate on 12 volts and are commonly found in under-cabinet kitchen lighting, desk lamps, and recreational vehicle interiors. To replace it, simply pull the old bulb straight out of its friction-fit socket and push the new pins directly into place. I have an old electronic device where the AC power doesn't seem to work, so I was wanting to try the DC connection. However, I don't recognize the socket shape at all. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a 12-volt DC power receptacle. Commonly used on portable electronics, car accessories, and older audio equipment, this specific multi-pin or keyed socket is designed to accept direct current from an external battery pack or a vehicle adapter. The asymmetrical shape serves a mechanical purpose, ensuring the positive and negative terminals are connected with the correct polarity to prevent short circuits and internal damage to the hardware. My mom and I were hiking in southwest Ohio and found this in the woods. I thought it was a weird old acorn, but my mom guessed it was a persimmon seed. Strangely, the whole area smells exactly like a cheap chocolate candle. Does anyone know what it is? It's a collection of seeds from the American pawpaw tree. The pawpaw, scientifically known as Asimina triloba, produces the largest edible fruit native to North America. These large, dark brown seeds are found embedded inside its soft, custardy flesh. The peculiar smell you noticed is actually quite common in pawpaw groves. As the fruit overripens and begins to ferment on the forest floor, it produces volatile compounds that can mimic the scent of cheap chocolate, yeast, or rotting bananas. While the fruit pulp is a delicacy, the seeds themselves contain toxic alkaloids and must be discarded. I spotted this on the ground at a local camping and fishing area. It came in a small leather wallet attached to a string that feels like a thin wire. The object itself is yellow, shaped like a wedge, and feels exactly like solid glass. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a basal area prism, a specialized optical tool used in forestry and timber cruising. It is a wedge-shaped piece of glass that refracts or bends light by a specific mathematical angle. Foresters hold the prism over a fixed center point and look at surrounding tree trunks through it. If the refracted image of the trunk overlaps with the actual trunk outside the glass, the tree is counted. This provides a rapid estimation of the forest's density and timber volume per acre, without the surveyor needing to physically measure every individual tree. I recently bought a house with this unusual brass valve outside. You can twist the handle infinitely in either direction without hitting a hard stop, and water slowly trickles out from a tiny pinhole on the stem, seemingly by design. Does anyone know what it is? It is a frost-proof sillcock with an integrated anti-siphon valve. The anti-siphon mechanism prevents dirty outdoor water from being drawn back into your home's clean water supply if there is a sudden drop in pressure. The small pinhole is a weep hole designed to let excess water drain from the pipe after you turn it off, ensuring no water freezes and bursts the line during winter temperatures. As for the infinitely turning handle, The internal stem threads are likely stripped, which is a common mechanical failure requiring replacement. I was cleaning out an old network closet and found a bunch of these network cables. One end has a standard registered jack 45 Ethernet connector, but the other end has these weird, blocky plastic connectors that I do not recognize. Does anyone know what it is? It is a patch cable designed to connect a modern network switch to a legacy 110 telecom block. The 110 block was a type of punch-down wiring system invented in 1971 by Western Electric, originally used to route analog landline telephone systems. As early internet networks developed, technicians repurposed these existing telephone blocks to handle 10 and 100 megabit data connections. The strange connector on your cable snaps directly onto the metal teeth of the 110 block, bridging the gap between vintage telecommunications wiring and standard Ethernet hardware. What are these strange spiked things? There is a huge group of them clustered on a tree trunk in my garden, and more seem to appear every single day. Does anyone know what it is? It's a cluster of larvae from a pleasing fungus beetle. This is a massive family of beetles scientifically known as Rhodolidae. The larvae often feature these spiky, armored bodies as a biological defense mechanism against predators. True to their name, they feed entirely on the fruiting bodies of fungi, especially those growing on rotting wood and decaying tree bark. They are completely harmless to living trees and are actually beneficial for breaking down dead organic matter in the ecosystem. I received a set of 3 of these small metal cylindrical objects in the mail unexpectedly. They are hollow, have a slightly wider opening on one end, and the wide end is highly magnetic. Does anyone know what it is? These are magnetic screw catchers, also known as magnetizer rings for screwdriver bits. To use them, you slide the narrow end over a standard 1/4-inch hex screwdriver bit, positioning the wider magnetic rim just behind the tip. The strong internal neodymium magnet securely clamps onto the metal head of the screw you are driving. This holds the fastener perfectly straight and prevents it from dropping or wobbling while you work. It essentially converts any standard screwdriver bit into a highly magnetized tool, which is incredibly useful for driving long screws into awkward or tight spaces. I found this bottle hidden behind a wall. I was curious because if it is old enough, the nails in the wall might be low background steel. The seal is unbroken, but the water seems to have evaporated, leaving a thick syrup inside. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a vintage Canada Dry ginger ale bottle. Based on the flat-top screw-off cap featuring the Crown logo, this bottle dates to the era when the beverage industry transitioned away from crimped metal caps in the late 1960s. If you look at the base, the numbers 299 act as a mold code, while the number 72 indicates the manufacturing year is 1972. The bumpy texture around the bottom, called stippling, was developed in the 1940s to prevent glass from suctioning to factory conveyor belts. The remaining syrup is simply the original soda concentrate left behind after decades of slow water evaporation through microscopic gaps in the seal. We found this heavy tool in our maintenance workshop while organizing the shelves. We stared at it for a while but could not figure out its purpose. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is exactly what is printed on the label in the photograph. It is quite common for specialized maintenance tools to have their part number or exact function stamped directly onto the housing. In many industrial workshops, these items are highly specific pullers, gauges, or alignment jigs manufactured for a single machine model. Always check the manufacturer markings or stamped metal plates first, as they quickly identify the precise function of the gear. What is this red plastic object? It looks like a funnel of some sort, measuring about 4 inches high with a diameter of about 2 inches at its widest point. Inside, there is a small black tube with a sharp 120-degree bend pointing downwards. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a Coleman filter funnel. It is specifically designed to safely fill camping lanterns and portable liquid fuel stoves. The funnel mechanism is actually quite clever. The internal black tube acts as an air vent. When you pour fuel into the funnel, the liquid flows into the tank while displaced air escapes through the bent tube. Once the tank is full, the fuel covers the bottom of the vent tube, instantly stopping the flow of air and preventing the liquid from overflowing. It also contains a microscopic felt filter to remove dirt and water from the fuel. We are doing a large cleanup of a commercial office building roof, and this strange piece of equipment is mounted near the edge. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a commercial radio frequency antenna, often referred to as a base station aerial. These structures are typically used for two-way radio dispatch systems, emergency services communications, or local data transmission. The metallic rods act as radiating elements that convert alternating electrical currents into radio waves. By positioning it high up on a commercial roof, the antenna achieves a clear line of sight, drastically improving signal propagation and minimizing interference from surrounding concrete structures. I keep finding this weird pinkish dust on my child's bath seat. It seems to rinse off, but it always shows back up. I blamed it on my kids' bath bombs for the longest time, but we haven't used those in weeks. Does anyone know what it is? It's a common bathroom bacteria known as Serratia marcescens. Often mistakenly referred to as pink mold, this airborne bacteria thrives in moist, warm environments like showers and bathtubs. It actually feeds on the phosphorus and fatty substances found in soap scum, shampoo, and even human skin cells. When the bacterial colonies grow large enough, they produce a distinct pink, red, or orange pigment called protogiacin. While generally harmless to healthy individuals, it can cause infections in people with compromised immune systems. The best way to eliminate it is to scrub the area with a bleach-based cleaner, as standard rinsing will not break down the established bacterial biofilm. I found a bag full of these flat cardboard pieces in a box of miscellaneous stuff. They look like they are designed to fold in half, and they have a clear plastic film over the circular holes in the center. Does anyone know what they are? These objects are known as coin flips, and they are essential supplies for numismatists, or coin collectors. To use them, a collector places a coin in the center window, folds the cardboard securely in half, and staples the edges closed. The clear mylar film protects the metal from oils on human fingers and environmental damage, while still allowing both the obverse and reverse sides of the coin to be viewed safely. The blank white cardboard provides a convenient space to write down dates, mint marks, and the condition of the specific coin. What is this strange piece of equipment found mounted near a busy intersection? It appears to have a main line connection running into it, but there are no obvious labels or brand names visible from the ground. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a Verizon C-band 5G antenna node. These compact installations are deployed directly on street poles to broadcast high-frequency, ultra-wideband signals. Operating in the 3.7 to 3.98 GHz range, they fill the gap between standard low-band cell towers and short-range millimeter-wave 5G, offering faster data speeds over a wider area. Because higher frequency signals cannot travel as far or penetrate buildings as easily as older 4G waves, telecommunication companies must install these smaller nodes densely across urban intersections to maintain a reliable network. I received this strange, fuzzy item in the mail with no note. I had a hunch it was a late birthday present for my husband from my brother. I texted him to confirm, but surprisingly, he said he bought it at random and doesn't actually know what it is either. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a handmade plush of a Martian from the children's television show Sesame Street. Often referred to by fans as the Yip Yips, these extraterrestrial characters were introduced to the program by Jim Henson in 1972. The original puppets were designed to be incredibly simple, featuring just a floating head, a tubular mouth, and long tentacles. In their classic sketches, they would discover everyday Earth objects like a telephone or a radio, inspect them with their oversized mouths, and repeatedly mumble the words yip 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 or nope nope nope. I found this small packet in a bag of my frozen egg rolls. At first, I thought it might be a tiny ice pack, but why would you need an ice pack for something stored in the freezer? Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a frozen packet of sweet and sour dipping sauce. Many frozen appetizer brands include these pre-portioned sauce packets inside the bag for convenience. Because it is stored in the freezer alongside the egg rolls, the liquid ingredients freeze solid, making it closely resemble a gel ice pack. To use it, you simply thaw the packet in a bowl of warm water while the egg rolls are baking in the oven. I found this small metal pendant mixed inside a bag of random charms. It has a very specific and concerning shape, with 2 eye holes, and I am hoping it is anything other than what I am thinking of. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a Ku Klux Klan charm or pendant. During the 1920s, when the organization saw a massive resurgence in the United States, members and supporters often openly wore branded jewelry, including pocket watches, rings, and small charms cast in silver or 18-karat gold. While some might initially mistake it for a cartoon ghost figure, the distinct pointed hood and eye holes confirm its historical origins as a piece of hate group memorabilia. I found this small metal band on the street while out for a walk. It has a series of raised bumps around the outside and a small cross etched into the metal. It looks like some sort of religious ring, but I'm not entirely sure of its specific purpose. Does anyone know what it is? It is a rosary ring, sometimes called a decennary ring. These are miniature, wearable versions of traditional Catholic prayer beads. The ring features 10 distinct bumps, or nodes, representing 1 decade of the rosary, along with a crucifix. Originating as a practical alternative to full lengths of beads, they became especially popular among soldiers during World War I because they could be easily concealed and operated with one hand inside a uniform pocket. The wearer rotates the ring using their thumb to physically keep track of their prayers. I found this highly aged, coin-looking piece in my grandmother's drawer after she had to move out. It is very thin, heavily worn, and visibly tarnished. Absolutely no text or face value can be easily read with the naked eye. Does anyone know what it is? This object is an English silver penny from the reign of Queen Elizabeth I, minted sometime between 1558 and 1603. During this era in England, coins were not perfectly round because they were produced using a manual hammered method. A blank piece of silver was placed between 2 engraved metal dies, and a mint worker would strike the top die with a heavy hammer to imprint the royal design. The extreme smoothing on this coin is completely normal for a piece of currency that passed through thousands of hands over 400 years ago. I bought some bread and found this hard brown and black thing baked right into the slice. It seems sort of crumbly, but I haven't messed with it too much to figure out the exact texture. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a clump of unmixed barley malt. During the commercial baking process, ingredients like malted barley flour or liquid malt extract are added to dough to feed the yeast and give the bread a slightly sweet flavor and a brown crust. Occasionally, the commercial mixers fail to fully hydrate and dissolve these malt clumps. As the bread bakes, this clump hardens into a dense, dark mass. It is completely food safe and is just a highly concentrated, caramelized piece of the bread's base ingredients. I found this little metal thingy sitting on the floor in my bedroom today. It features a rounded, ball-like head with a narrow neck, sitting on top of a flat, circular base. I have no idea what it is or where it came from. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a Sam Browne stud, or simply a button head rivet. It is a common push-through fastening piece of hardware used in leatherworking. Originally designed in the 19th century by British Army General Sir Samuel Browne to secure a heavy leather military belt with one hand, the mechanism is brilliantly simple. A thick piece of leather with a precisely cut keyhole slot is pressed down over the rounded metal head. The narrow neck of the stud then securely grips the leather, locking the strap in place. This specific stud likely popped off a purse, a leather jacket, or a belt you have in your closet. I found this object near a river. There is no visible writing on it, but it does have a USB charge port located on the bottom. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a hand crank emergency flashlight. However, the crank handle that normally sits on the side has broken off. These devices function using a small internal dynamo. When you rotate the missing crank handle, it spins magnets around a copper coil to generate an electrical current. This current charges a small internal battery, powering the LED bulbs. The USB port on the bottom allows the internal battery to either be topped up from a wall plug or, in some models, act as a small power bank for a cell phone. I found this strange part inside my new computer motherboard box. It was separately sealed from everything else and looks highly specific. Do I need to keep it? And does anyone know what it is? It's an MSI BIOS and UEFI update and recovery flash drive. Modern computer motherboards run on specialized firmware called the Basic Input-Output System. Sometimes, straight out of the factory, a motherboard requires a firmware update to recognize the newest generation of computer processors. This included USB drive contains that vital update file. To use it, you insert the drive into a specifically marked USB port on the motherboard and press a dedicated flash button, allowing the system to update even without a processor or memory installed. You should definitely keep it in case of future system crashes. What is this bright orange, tapered, plastic object found discarded in the dirt during a walk? It looks a bit like a thick tool or a heavy-duty stake. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a handheld pinpointer metal detector. More specifically, it looks like a model commonly referred to in the hobbying community as a Garrett carrot, due to its bright orange color and tapered shape. While standard metal detectors sweep broad areas to find general targets, these handheld devices are used by hobbyists once a hole is dug. They emit an electromagnetic field from the tip, which causes nearby buried metals to generate their own magnetic field. The wand detects this disturbance and alerts the user by vibrating and beeping. This allows treasure hunters to isolate exactly where a coin or lost item is hidden in a pile of loose dirt. I have been using a humidifier for a few days, cleaning it out each time. When I recently filled it with water and a pinch of salt, these strange black bits started washing out of the machine. They dissolve instantly when you touch them, so they definitely aren't plastic. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as activated charcoal, specifically residue escaping from the device's internal water purifying filter. Humidifier filters use porous carbon to trap minerals and impurities from tap water before they can be aerosolized into your room. When you added salt to the water, a trick sometimes used to increase conductivity and steam output in older vaporizer models, the resulting turbulent boiling action likely dislodged loose carbon dust from the filter cartridge. Because it is just finely milled carbon, it breaks apart completely when rubbed between your fingers. What is this massive, chunky growth attached to the side of a tree in a local public park? It looks almost like a wooden tumor bursting through the bark, completely interrupting the normal straight lines of the trunk. Does anyone know what it is? It's a tree burl. A burl is a specific type of tree growth in which the wood grain has grown in a highly deformed manner, usually found on the trunk or at the root base. It is essentially the tree's immune system reacting to some form of environmental stress, such as a fungal infection, an insect attack, or severe physical damage. Instead of growing vertically, the tree's cells divide erratically, creating dense, swirling patterns of wood underneath a protective layer of bark. Because of these unique structural properties and highly figured grain patterns, burls are heavily prized by furniture makers. I found some old glass bottles buried out on my property. The labels are crumbling away, but I can just make out the text saying BOTLO. Most images I have found online show green labels, but this one is completely different. Does anyone know what it is? It's a vintage 10-ounce Bottle-O soda bottle. Specifically, this is an applied color label bottle manufactured around 1958 by the Grape Bottling Company, based in Poplar Bluff, Missouri. The applied color label process, patented in the 1930s, involved baking enamel directly onto the glass, which is why the lettering has partially survived underground for decades. Bottle-O was a popular regional soda brand in the mid-20th century, and collectors identify their exact age by examining the manufacturer codes stamped onto the heavy glass base. I found this ceramic object while cleaning out an elderly relative's house. It has no maker's marks anywhere, but it has small feet on the bottom, so it clearly sits flat on a surface like a table. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a vintage ceramic windproof ashtray. These were incredibly popular in homes and on outdoor patios throughout the mid-20th century. The unique design features a wide, rounded base and a slotted or concave lid. When a cigarette is rested on top, the ashes fall down into the enclosed chamber, preventing passing wind or ceiling fans from blowing them around the room. The enclosed design also helps contain the smoke and odor, while the small feet protect wooden tabletops from heat transfer. This plastic object was buried in the yard with the open top exposed. It was packed with dirt, completely hollow, and features a closed, pointed end with holes all around the sides. A reverse image search insists it is a quartz crystal point, but I know for a fact it is plastic. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a termite bait station component. Pest control professionals install these plastic tubes deep into the ground around the perimeter of a house. The vertical slots on the sides allow subterranean termites to easily enter the tube. Originally, a toxic cellulose bait cartridge was placed inside the hollow center. When foraging termites find the bait, they carry the slow-acting poison back to their colony, effectively eliminating the insects before they can travel to the wooden structure of the home. I found this strange concrete structure in a lower ditch area on the side of an abandoned road. It has an opening on the bottom and a large metal chain dropping down from the top. It fills with water occasionally, but I have never seen anything like it. Could it be a bunker or some type of overflow vat? Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a debris catcher for a detention pond drain. When heavy rain occurs, the surrounding area acts as a temporary holding pond to prevent local flooding. Once the water level rises high enough, it overflows into this concrete structure. The hanging chain and the specific geometry of the concrete are designed to catch large branches, trash, and other floating debris. This mechanical separation prevents the main underground drainage pipes from getting blocked, allowing the stormwater to slowly and safely drain away. My dad received an unexpected package in the mail today containing this strange plastic device. He has been retired for 2 years but used to work in chemical sales, so we thought it might be related to his old job, or maybe a tracker for his car insurance. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a replacement shift lever for a children's 12-volt electric ride-on buggy. Specifically, it is the forward and reverse gear selector switch that mounts into the plastic dashboard of the toy car. Inside the housing is a simple double-pole, double-throw electrical switch. When a child pushes the lever, it mechanically flips the contacts, reversing the polarity of the electrical current flowing from the battery to the electric drive motors. This instantly allows the toy vehicle to drive backward. I found this soft, squishy rubber ring at my ex's house, next to where my child plays on a computer desk. I am fairly certain it is not part of a toy, and it even left a visible grease mark on a paper tube. Does anyone know what it is? It is a cock ring. These devices are used to restrict blood flow to the penis to maintain an erection. The soft, stretchy rubber or silicone materials, along with the grease mark, which is likely a personal lubricant, are typical identifiers. They are designed to fit snugly at the base of the anatomy, and the elasticity allows for safe application and removal. It is definitely not a child's plaything. What is this black, circular plastic object with a mechanical pinching mechanism in the center? Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a lens cap for a camera. Specifically, this is a center pinch style lens cap. The spring-loaded mechanism in the middle controls 2 plastic tabs on the outer edge. When you compress the center, the tabs retract, allowing you to attach or remove the cap from the threaded filter ring on the front of a camera lens. This protects the delicate glass element from scratches, dust, and moisture when the equipment is not actively being used. I found this strange vertical spike of ice growing straight up out of my ice cube tray in the freezer. It looks completely unnatural, almost as if the water defied gravity before freezing solid. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is an ice spike. This physical phenomenon happens because water expands by about 9% as it freezes. In a standard ice tray, the surface of the water usually freezes first, leaving a small hole unfrozen. As the liquid beneath continues to freeze and expand, it is forced upward through that tiny opening. The edges of this extruded water freeze instantly upon hitting the sub-zero air, forming a tube. This process continually pushes liquid up the center until the entire spike freezes solid. I was visiting my parents and found this unusual-looking metal tool in their house. They suspect it belonged to my grandparents, but the three of us were sitting around trying to figure it out and drew a complete blank. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a tapestry needle, specifically used for yarn work and heavy embroidery. Unlike standard sewing needles, a tapestry needle features a blunt tip and a significantly elongated eye. The blunt tip allows the needle to pass through the gaps in loosely woven fabrics, like canvas or linen, without splitting or piercing the individual threads. The large eye accommodates thick strands of yarn or embroidery floss. They were essential household tools in the mid-20th century for mending and decorative needlepoint. I walked past this downed line earlier today and was wondering about its function. The exposed end is across the street, hanging from another wire, but cars are driving right over the middle of it and no one seems concerned. Does anyone know what it is? It is a downed telecommunications line, likely for cable television, landline telephones, or internet service. On standard utility poles, high-voltage electrical lines are securely mounted at the very top using glass or ceramic insulators. To save infrastructure costs, other utilities rent space on the same poles, but strict safety codes require these non-lethal communication lines to be positioned several feet below the power lines. Because it lacks the high-voltage electrical current of an active power line, it does not pose an electrocution risk to the vehicles driving over it. I found this strange wooden contraption sitting on a shelf at a Goodwill in North Carolina. It has a flat wooden base, an angled arm, and a metal ring with a screw on the top. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a jamonero, also known as a Spanish ham stand. These specialized culinary devices are designed to securely hold a whole, cured leg of jamón ibérico or serrano ham. The hoof of the pig is clamped into the elevated metal ring using the tightening screw, while the wider base of the leg rests on the lower wooden platform. This setup provides absolute stability, allowing a chef to safely use a long, flexible knife to shave off paper-thin slices of the cured meat. It is a staple tool in traditional Spanish kitchens and tapas bars. Potentially a strange post, but I only have one blurry photo of this sesame chili oil I used to love. I remember the bottle design, but I completely forgot the name. I know this is a huge ask, but does anyone know what it is? What you found is a bottle of S&B La Yu chili oil. This iconic Japanese condiment is a blend of chili pepper extract and pure sesame oil. S&B Foods, founded in 1923, introduced this specific push-button dispenser design to allow drops of oil to be cleanly shaken out without spilling. The distinct red cap and small glass bottle are a staple in many Asian households, typically used to add a spicy, nutty flavor to ramen, gyoza, and soups. What is this white dome mounted on a yellow tripod by the side of the road? Is it some sort of camera tracking the speed of passing cars? Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a surveyor's GPS receiver. Rather than tracking speed, it is a high-precision antenna designed to collect satellite positioning data. Surveyors use these devices, often known as real-time kinematic rovers, to pinpoint geographic locations down to the centimeter. The dome receives signals from multiple satellite constellations and uses a stationary base station to correct atmospheric errors in the data. This allows civil engineers to accurately map out construction sites, property lines, and new roadways. I found this strange tool lying in the grass on my lawn. It looks like a clear plastic handle with a sharp metal probe on one end and a wire with an alligator clip attached to the other. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a 12-volt automotive test light, or a car wiring tester. Mechanics use this simple diagnostic tool to check for electrical current in a vehicle. You attach the alligator clip to a known ground source, like the metal car chassis, and touch the sharp metal probe to a wire or fuse. The sharp tip is specifically designed to pierce the plastic insulation of automotive wiring. If there is electricity flowing through the circuit, it completes the path to ground, and a small incandescent bulb inside the clear handle will illuminate. I just moved into my new place and found this odd receptacle under the kitchen sink. It's a metal electrical outlet with a white adapter plugged in, and it's hardwired directly into the wires coming out of the top of the box. I unplugged the white device, and it is a Class 2 power unit designed to convert alternating current to direct current. Does anyone know why this would be rigged up like this? What you found is a highly questionable and dangerous DIY electrical job. The white block is a standard plug-in power supply, but someone has bypassed standard building codes by directly hardwiring the main alternating current lines into the box. They likely did this to provide direct current to a 12-volt appliance, such as under-cabinet LED strip lighting or a motorized water purifier valve. Instead of installing a proper code-compliant wall socket and safely routing the low-voltage wires, the previous owner spliced a plug-in adapter directly into the permanent house wiring, which creates a serious fire and shock hazard. I keep finding these long, brown insects crawling all over my apartment in Quebec, Canada. They have long antennae, distinct geometric patterns on their backs, and flared sections on their back legs. Does anyone know what it is? This is a western conifer seed bug, a species native to North America that is often mistakenly lumped into the broader category of stink bugs. In the wild, they use their specialized piercing mouthparts to extract sap and nutrients from developing conifer cones and pine seeds. As the weather turns cold in the autumn, these insects frequently seek out the warmth of residential buildings to survive the winter. While their appearance can be alarming, they are completely harmless to humans and do not bite or cause structural damage. However, true to their stink bug cousins, they will emit a bitter, pine-scented defensive chemical if threatened or crushed. I spotted this sign while sitting in my doctor's office. I usually try to figure these out myself, but I am totally stumped on what either the red or green text is actually saying. Does anyone know what it is? It's a sliding status indicator sign for a medical examination room. The text on the left is heavily stylized to say "dirty" in red, while the right side says "clean" in green. Medical staff use this simple visual mechanism to communicate room availability. When a patient leaves, the nurse slides the panel over to reveal the red side, signaling to the janitorial staff that the room requires sanitization before the next appointment can begin. I am trying to replace this specific power cord, but I have absolutely no idea what to even type into a search engine. I am currently in Australia. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is an IEC C13 power cable. Defined by the International Electrotechnical Commission under the IEC 60320 standard, this specific connector features 3 pins and is officially rated to handle up to 10 amps of current. It is universally used around the world to power desktop computers, monitors, and professional audio equipment. If you need a replacement, simply searching for a standard computer power cable will give you exactly what you need, regardless of your region. I found this small device attached to the outside window at a local bar. The little nubby part on the left has a yellow blinking light. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a window vibration sensor, commonly used as a glass break detector for commercial security systems. Inside the casing, a small piezoelectric element or mechanical switch detects the specific high-frequency vibrations caused by shattering glass. When triggered, it completes an electrical circuit that sends an immediate signal to the main alarm panel. The blinking yellow light serves as a status indicator, showing that the system is currently armed and actively monitoring the perimeter. I was cleaning out my garage before moving to a new house and stumbled across this tool. I have no idea what it could be, but I am scared to throw it out just in case. Does anyone know what it is? It's a corner and edge paint roller handle. Designed specifically for interior painting projects, this specialized tool features a unique angled metal shaft that holds a small wheel-shaped foam or fabric roller. The geometry allows the user to apply paint precisely into tight 90-degree wall intersections or along ceiling edges without overlapping onto adjacent surfaces. You can purchase replacement roller wheels at any standard hardware store to keep it functional. I found these strange objects scattered in an open field while on my walk. They look exactly like black, upside-down pots anchored into the soil. Does anyone know what it is? These are erosion and sediment control devices. Because there are residential houses being built across the street, construction crews install these temporarily on bare soil to slow down storm water runoff. By catching water and breaking its momentum, These raised plastic structures prevent heavy rains from washing away the loose topsoil and clogging nearby storm drains with sediment before permanent grass or landscaping can take root. I was outside in Nampa, Idaho, and saw this intensely bright light in the night sky. It was completely stationary for a little bit, and then it suddenly flew off somewhere in the distance. Does anyone know what it is? It's a helicopter utilizing a high-powered searchlight. Often deployed by law enforcement or search and rescue teams, these optical units, such as the widely used Spectralab Night Sun, can produce a concentrated beam of 30 million candle power. From a distance at night, the intense glare completely obscures the shape and anti-collision lights of the aircraft, making it look like a hovering, silent orb until the pilot changes the angle or flies away. I noticed this ornate jewelry piece resting securely on this woman's upper arm. It looks highly traditional, heavily detailed with gold, and clearly custom-fitted. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a baju band, also referred to as a vanki or an armlet. It is a traditional piece of South Asian jewelry historically worn by married women or brides during wedding ceremonies. Typically crafted from gold and encrusted with gemstones, the design often features intricate motifs of local flora, peacocks, or deities. While it has largely fallen out of everyday fashion in modern times, it remains a vital accessory in classical Indian dance and cultural festivals. My coworker bought this bag off of Facebook Marketplace, and it is incredibly cute. It features a woven beige body and large ring handles, but we cannot find a tag anywhere inside. Does anyone know what it is? What you are looking at is a beige ladies' crochet handbag manufactured by Rossetti. Founded in 1994, Rossetti is a New York-based fashion brand known for producing accessible and practical accessories. This specific model features a tightly crocheted textile body paired with rigid, circular, plastic or wooden handles. This distinct structural style was highly popular in the late 1990s and early 2000s, designed specifically as a breathable, lightweight accessory for spring and summer wear. I got these two little items from a claw machine, and I have no idea what they are meant for. They look like small mesh tubes with a solid round object inside. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a mesh and marble fidget toy. The mechanism is extremely simple but highly functional. Inside the tightly woven nylon mesh sleeve is a small glass marble. You operate it by pinching the mesh beside the marble, which forces the marble to slide back and forth through the tube. They are frequently used by occupational therapists to help children and adults manage stress, anxiety, or focus issues by providing quiet, tactile feedback. I bought this lampshade, and the label says it has an E26 fitting, but I cannot figure out what type of base it requires to actually work. I am dying to use it, but does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a standard light bulb socket shade, and the E26 refers to the Edison screw fitting. Developed by Thomas Edison in 1909, the E26 is the standard 1-inch light bulb socket used in North America. The shade itself does not dictate the base of the lamp. Rather, it slips over the threaded socket. To make it work, you need a threaded retaining ring, also known as a socket ring. You place the shade over the socket and then screw the retaining ring down tight against the metal or plastic frame of the shade, clamping it securely in place before screwing in the actual light bulb. My aunt gave me this embroidered patch, and we have absolutely no idea what it is. We only know it is old and there is no other context to go on. Does anyone know what it is? It is a vintage Human Resources NASCAR racing team patch. In the world of professional stock car racing, specialized patches are manufactured and sewn onto driver and pit crew fire suits to represent sponsors, departments, and team affiliations. The patches are strictly regulated and typically heavily embroidered using flame-resistant thread. Over the decades, collecting these specific departmental patches has become a major niche within NASCAR memorabilia. I tried to take a photo of the moon on my smartphone without a telescope. The moon is obviously blurry, but there is a distinct bright object right in the lower left corner of the frame. Does anyone know what it is? What you captured is the planet Jupiter. Because Jupiter is the largest planet in our solar system, with a diameter of nearly 89,000 miles, it often appears as one of the brightest non-stellar objects in the night sky. Depending on its orbital position relative to Earth, it frequently enters conjunction with the Moon, appearing very close to it from our perspective. When photographing the night sky with a standard smartphone camera lens, bright celestial bodies like Jupiter often register as sharp points of light compared to the heavily overexposed and glowing Moon. I got this free bumper sticker from a record store. I recognize the snake as a symbol of rebirth, but I am confused about what all three symbols together are supposed to mean. Does anyone know what it is? This is a promotional sticker for the musical artist Daniel Caesar. The imagery consists of three specific historical symbols. The first is a cross of Malta, an emblem dating back to the Knights Hospitaller in the 11th century. The second is an Ouroboros, a classic symbol depicting a serpent eating its own tail to represent the infinite cycle of life. The final symbol is a tree of life, overlaid with an astrological zodiac arrangement. Musical artists frequently combine historical iconography in their album artwork to create distinct, recognizable branding. My friend found this heavy metal handle with a pointed end and showed it to me, wondering what it might be. It looks like a specialized grip for a machine. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as an autocane, sometimes marketed as a car assist handle. It is a portable mobility tool designed to help elderly or physically disabled individuals get in and out of vehicles safely. The metal end of the tool slides directly into the U-shaped steel door striker plate found on the frame of almost all modern cars. Once inserted, it locks into place and provides a rigid handhold that can support hundreds of pounds of downward pressure, giving the user leverage to stand up without stressing their knees. What is this small white rubber object I found under my couch? I placed a standard deck of cards next to it for a size reference, but I have no idea where it came from. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a silicone mouthpiece plug for a vape pen. Manufacturers include these small stoppers to keep dirt, lint, and moisture out of the device's airflow channel before sale or during transport. Because they do not attach securely to the device once removed, they are often discarded or dropped immediately after unboxing, which explains why they frequently end up lost under living room furniture. I was driving in Pennsylvania about 5 years ago and saw this giant pole with cars impaled on it, sitting completely in the middle of nowhere off the highway. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a car spindle. It is a form of roadside pop art and advertising that was popularized in the late 20th century. The most famous example was the spindle in Berwyn, Illinois, created by artist Dustin Schuler in 1989, which featured 8 cars impaled on a 50-foot steel spike. Smaller versions were frequently erected by auto salvage yards to catch the attention of drivers on highways. The cars are completely stripped of their engines, interiors, and heavy fluids before an industrial crane lowers them onto a central steel support beam. Which of these items surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments. For more unknown items, check out the other videos on our channel. Hit like and subscribe.